Hello, I'm Paul Beckwith, and I'm over in Quebec, about an hour north of Ottawa, a place called Lac de Loup, Lake of Wolves, and here for a skate. And I just thought I'd skate around and talk about climate, maybe a little bit. So this is a beautiful forest here. There we go, Lac de Loup, Quebec. And they have all these bamboo posts, because last night there was night skating here apparently. That would have been kind of fun to see. So this is it's a bit colder here than in Ottawa. We've had such a mild winter. You know, most days being 10 or 15 degrees Celsius warmer than normal. And, or not most, but a number of days. I think the average temperature has been about 5 degrees warmer. Of course, the media is claiming that this is all due to the El Nino, and they neglect to mention that, you know, climate change is causing record warm temperatures. Of course, they never would mention James Hansen's work. You know, if they do mention climate, they say, yeah, there might be climate on top of this contributing to the warming. Last year was the first year when the famous canal in Ottawa for skating didn't open. You know, it almost did. It was pretty close, touch and go, but I think if they'd opened it, it would have been open for like a weekend, and they thought, well, it's not worth it. So this year is even warmer. So we'll see what happens. No dogs allowed here, unfortunately, so I don't have Newton with me. I don't know how he'd do on the ice. It actually amazes me how stable dogs are when they're running on the ice. You know, I guess the extra set of legs doesn't hurt. So we have a beautiful forest here, and you know, there's some snow in the trees, but we've really had very, very little snow. Maybe one snowfall, 10 centimeters, and it all melted. Had a lot more rain than snow. So this is true across Canada, across much of the world. You know, I saw an article recently, or a map, showing snow cover in the northern hemisphere, and it's way, way down. You know, it's down by some huge amount. I think I thought I saw 8 million square kilometers or something like that. Don't quote me on that number. But, you know, if that's true, you know, the lack of the reflecting ice snow cover on the land means that the dark land underneath is exposed. And this is a huge warming factor, additional warming factor in the northern hemisphere. Right, the lower albedo. James Hansen had a letter just a couple days ago, and he talked about the global albedo being down about 0.5 of a percent, something like that, which is one of the reasons why we've had so much warming. It's why the Earth energy imbalance is so high. Newbie. And of course, we're missing all that Antarctic sea ice. So that's you know, one of the reasons why the warming is so high in the southern hemisphere. So people in Canada are starting to get a bit worried about what we can expect this coming summer with wildfires. And I'm just going to shift my phone for a second. Bear with me, because it's about -9, and I need to put a glove on the hand that's holding the camera. So I thought I could be okay for like 10-15 minutes, but it's just the wind chill, right? I'm skating so fast that -9 combined with the wind chill is freezing my fingers, probably my brain as well. Hopefully this video is semi-coherent, or maybe no different from all my other videos. But anyway, and this is my first time skating this year. I don't remember skating last year. Last year, like I say, the canal was closed, so I don't think we came up here. So, yes, the forest situation, the wildfire situation is of great concern because it's already very, very warm out in places like British Columbia. And there's something like 100 zombie fires that are still going that then caught to become full fires. These are smoldering fires that don't extinguish in the winter. You can get some burning in the organic material underneath the surface of the ground, and these can smolder all winter and then reignite the following spring and then burn all summer. So we've got something like 100 of these, it's very unusual conditions already, and we're only in early January. There's very little snow out west. I play with some old friends. We have a weekly, sometimes bi-weekly poker game online on Zoom. We see each other, and then there's a free site. And we don't play for money, we just hack around for fun. And one of the guys is from Edmonton, and he said, it's really weird there. Almost no snow cover. Same thing in Calgary. And, this moisture, this wetness is very important in forests so that they're not as flammable. But, he's very worried because the rest of this winter forecast is for not much snow and for warmth. And so come the spring, when it does get warmer, the fires will take off. Last year, we had 19 million hectares of forest burn in Canada. I think that's equivalent to about 5% of the forests that we have. So it was like a record high year by a factor of 4 or 5, I think. And the fires are burning differently. They're burning a lot hotter. They're moving a lot faster, burning a lot more hectares of land, and we need to change the way we deal with them in Canada, because traditionally they fires up in the far north are only extinguished or fought if they're threatening roads or small towns, infrastructure, human settlements. Otherwise, they're just basically left to do their own thing, which is, I guess it was tolerable in the past years when, if a fire would start in August, it would be burned out by October or something when it got colder. But now these fires are starting earlier, as soon as spring hits. So if it starts in May, you don't want to let this thing burn and extinguish itself naturally in October. I mean, that's absurd. So this is a huge problem. I listened to a CBC interview on forestry because there's a new paper that's come out that's looking at the areas of the far north that have been exposed to logging and forestry in Ontario and Quebec. And they did a lot of measurements on the ground and then also with satellite data. And forestry and logging in Ontario and Quebec has really gone out of control. And one of the huge problems is, they have replanting programs. In fact, my son planted trees in northern Ontario on the border with Manitoba for 1 year, and just, more central northern Ontario another year. So there's these huge tree planting programs that get funded It's private companies that get contracts with the government to replant, or contracts with forestry companies and the government. But the problem is that the nature of the trees, the boreal forest in Canada, is changing. It's the old growth, older trees. We're losing all those. Those are being cut down. And the replanting, of course, is with saplings, and it takes years for them to mature and become bigger trees. So the average age of the forest has declined significantly in Ontario and Quebec. Now, the moose love this, right? Moose thrive in very young forests, but not caribou. So Rudolph the reindeer is out of luck. So they've done studies of all the caribou herds in the north, and they're not sustainable, the different herds. They're declining in numbers, declining in average size of the caribou, declining in health. The caribou really need old forests to thrive. So the younger forest is one of the biggest factors that's affecting the animals in the far north, the caribou especially. So like I said, moose love it. Lots of mooses. What's plural of moose? Mooses or meese? I don't know. Probably just moose. But anyway, just call me the rambling man. The skating rambling man. I need to get some hot chocolate or something. I'm approaching the chalet when, thankfully, you won't have to listen to me much longer. So, in James Hansen's latest letter, like I said, he was talking about I should do a separate video on it, but he was talking about the warming that we're getting. You know, we're getting basically 1.7 degrees Celsius month after month above pre-industrial, where pre-industrial, of course, Hansen defines it as 1880 to 1920. Not sure why he doesn't use the 1850 to 1900 baseline, but they're very close, those two baselines. And of course, both of those are well above the 1750, which is when those 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius numbers were first talked about at climate conferences and in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports and so on. So we can kiss 1.5 goodbye. You know, we're rapidly approaching 2. We'll be there very soon. And it'll be interesting to see, you know, how long it takes for the bureaucracy of the, you know, governments and reports and NGO reports to actually forget about talking about 1.5 like it's a possibility, or even 2 degrees, really. So we're heading to a much warmer world. So buckle your seatbelts and get out the popcorn. Speaking of popcorn, my mother gave me don't tell her, but she gave me an air blow popcorn maker and some popcorn. I thought it was last Christmas, but my wife informs me it was 2 Christmases ago. So I went to use it, and of course Susan, my wife, says, "Don't take it out of the box. We can sell it for $10 or something." And I said, "I think I'll use it and we can sell it for $5 if we want, but if it's any good, I'll keep it." Anyway, it passed the test, and I watched the movie Society in the Snow. It's a 2023 movie, really good. If you don't know the story of the movie Alive, where a Uruguayan plane carrying a soccer team, carrying 40 people, was going to Santiago, Chile, and it crashed in the mountains in 1972. 27 people survived the crash. People died over time from cold, etc. The search was ended, and 2 guys ended up walking out down the mountains to Chile to get helicopters to go in and lift out the survivors. So 14 people survived. The big thing about that story is people had to resort to cannibalism to survive. And, that has parallels. I mean, people worrying about a global food shortage, we're going to turn into a Soylent Green type green cookies world where, there will be lots of food for people. Just food that turns, the idea of that is uncomfortable to a lot of people. And I wonder if the survivors through the years, if they'd look at people in a different way. You meet somebody, they look like they might be pretty tasty. I don't know. This is my sense of humor on Saturday morning in the forest. I think my brain is getting a bit numb, so before my jokes get too bad, I should stop. I did go to, there's a local diner called Eddie's Diner, which I frequent in Ottawa, near my place. And they have comedy every 2 weeks at night, and I happened to go in late. I went earlier this week, and I was late by about 10 minutes. And of course, if you go in late into a comedy club and you have to actually, the comedian pick up on you right away, and they say, "Why are you late? Did you know the comedy was going on? What's your name?" So I became part of every subsequent comedian that came up. There were about 10 of them. Every one of them was asking me, "So Paul, how's it going?" And the first few took me by surprise, but then I had very, very witty answers, which were, some people said they were actually funnier than what the comic was actually saying. So I may have a new calling here in stand-up comedy. I may have to try it, and if I do, I'll bring my tripod and set up and film it and make sure I post it on my channel for your amusement and enjoyment. So anyway, here we are at the back at the chalet. Oh, there's a wolf. See, there are wolves here. This is a loopy wolf to scare all the kids and stuff. So, what's happening, wolf? Loopy the wolf. Are you scaring all the kids? No? So, Lac de Loup, Loopy the wolf. There you go. A video star now. Okay, well, thanks everybody for listening. And I'm going to go in and warm up.